Welcome to the Tom Woods Show, episode 384. Today we're looking at a very special and interesting approach to success and personal productivity and happiness, and it involves a concept and book called The Miracle Morning by our guest Hal Elrod. From time to time, I like to talk about things like this that stray a little bit from the usual topics that we cover here on the show, and cover something that I think will help everybody, will help all you folks who listen in. This is something that I am considering giving a try to. I'm going to look into it further. I've read the book. The full title of the book is The Miracle Morning, The Not-So-Obvious Secret Guaranteed to Transform Your Life, and then in parentheses, before 8 a.m. It was a smash bestseller. It continues to do very well. I will link on the show notes page to the book and to a bunch of other resources. The show notes page for today will be tomwoods.com/384. And now, my conversation with Hal Elrod. Hal, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Tom, this is going to be fun. Thanks so much for having me on.
I have to admit to you, I'm a bit of a skeptic because I've lived my life as a night owl, but I want to have an open mind looking at The Miracle Morning because not only of your own testimony and the strength of the arguments in your book, but because of the sheer number of testimonials I've seen from people who have adopted your strategy, your morning plan of action, and seen so many good results. I mean, they're so overwhelming that it's made this dyed-in-the-wool night owl give the whole matter a second thought. But before we get into what you mean by the term The Miracle Morning, I have to ask you the required question involving your own harrowing experience that led you to develop The Miracle Morning in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those, I'll share with you the story, of course, and it's one of those things you think happens to other people. You turn on the news, but never really would happen to you. I was driving home at age 20, driving home one night after I gave a speech at a sales conference, which you might think, what were you doing giving a speech at a sales conference at age 20? At age 20, I was a top salesperson for my company, and I spoke at most of our events. And driving home one night in my brand new Ford Mustang, it was 3 weeks old, fresh off the lot. My dream car as a 20-year-old that I bought with my own money. And driving home that night, I was hit head-on by a drunk driver at 80 miles per hour. He was in a full-size Chevy truck, much larger than my little Ford Mustang. He hit me head-on at 80 miles an hour, crushed the front of my car, smashed the engine, airbags explode, and the worst was yet to come as my car spins off the drunk driver and another car crashes into my door at 70 miles an hour. And if you can imagine someone just driving into your car door, like the driver's side door at 70 miles an hour, pretty devastating. Instantly, the left side of my door crashed into the left side of my body, breaking 11 bones. Broke my femur in half, my humerus in half, 11 bones total, or 11 injuries, I should say. Punctured my lung, ruptured my spleen, suffered permanent brain damage, and I actually began to bleed to death, if you will, and I died. I was dead for approximately 6 minutes on the side of the freeway while the paramedics and the fire department worked to revive me. Rushed to the hospital, spent 6 days in a coma after undergoing emergency surgery. When I came out of the coma, the doctor said I would probably never walk again. I had permanent brain damage, and I just decided that I wasn't, I would accept that if I was proven without a shadow of a doubt that was my only option, but I believed that I would be able to walk again. And I put all my energy, all my belief, my faith, my visualization, everything. I imagined myself walking again. And 3 weeks later, the doctors came in with routine x-rays and they said, we don't know how to explain this, but your body is healing incredibly. We're going to let you take your first step tomorrow in therapy. So it went from never walking again to 3 weeks after the crash, after I was found dead, after my bones broke. I took my first step and I went onto the road to recovery, if you will. And that was really my first rock bottom that didn't directly lead to the Miracle Morning. We can get into that. That came 8 years later. But that was what led to me going, okay, maybe I'm meant to do more than just be a salesperson. Nothing wrong with a salesperson, but I just kind of had this feeling like, why am I going through this experience? And what could I turn this into? How could I turn this into something that could serve, humanity, if you will, or add value for the greater good? And that's when I decided I would become a speaker, professional speaker, an author, and I also do quite a bit of coaching as well.
As I remember your story, it was around the time of the financial crisis that things began to crumble for you professionally, and you hit another kind of bottom, and this was the one that led to the Miracle Morning.
Yeah, I always say we've all had rock bottoms, by the way, and we have more rock bottoms to come. The way that I define a rock bottom is it's just any time in our life, personally, professionally, could be in our relationship, any area where we hit a low, we hit a level of adversity that we've never faced before, and we start to doubt ourselves, and we start to feel scared and maybe even hopeless, or not sure if we're strong enough to make it through. And my accident was that first rock bottom where I was really tested. Well, my second rock bottom, as you mentioned, 2008 financial crisis, it was surprisingly worse than the first. And I whenever I share that, like I'll do television interviews and I share that with the TV hosts, and they always look at me and scratch their head and go, "Wait a minute, didn't you say you died for 6 minutes the first time? Would you die for 7 minutes the second time? Like, what's lower than that?" That's pretty much the rock bottom of rock bottoms. Well, the problem was 2008 when the U.S. economy crashed. I went from being kind of living my dreams. I was doing the speaking, the coaching, the writing, as I mentioned. I had just bought my first brand new house, bought my dream car. Like, life was great. I met the woman of my dreams. And it felt like almost overnight. Many of your listeners, you can probably relate, the financial crisis, over half of my income was gone. I lost over half my income, lost my house, stopped exercising. And for the first time in my life, I really got deeply depressed. And to keep a long story short, a series of events led me to go on a run. And on that run, I heard a quote in my headphones from the great Jim Rohn. And this quote became the catalyst that would turn my life around faster than I ever thought possible. And it's the catalyst for really the Miracle Morning. The quote from Jim Rohn, he said, "Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person you become." And in that moment, Tom, I realized I'm not dedicating time to my personal development. Therefore, I'm not dedicating time to become the person that I need to be that can attract or create or sustain the levels of success I want in my life. And so my epiphany was, what if I create the most extraordinary personal development routine known to man, right? Or at least known to me. I take the most timeless, proven personal development practices, I organize them into an hour-long ritual, and I start every day with that ritual. I thought, theoretically, that should enable me to quickly become the person that I need to be to create the levels of success that I want. And I spent about an hour online researching it, woke up the next morning, did it's now known as the Miracle Morning. But mind you, it was never going to be a book. It wasn't called the Miracle Morning. It was just my morning personal development. And that next morning, I woke up excited and energized, even though I was 50 grand in credit card debt. My house was only a couple months away from being taken back by the bank. I was in the worst shape of my life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. But the next morning, I woke up like a kid on Christmas. I went through these 6 rituals, these 6 practices. And by 6 a.m., I felt, for the first time in 6 months, I felt inspired, empowered, encouraged. I had confidence. I had clarity. And it was less than 2 months of doing this morning ritual that I almost tripled my income from $4,000 a month to just shy of $12,000 a month. I didn't change jobs, didn't get a promotion. I just, through the morning clarity and the strategies and the knowledge that I was gaining, I just scaled my current business. I went from being in the worst shape of my life physically to training for a 52-mile ultra marathon that I had never run more than a mile in my life. 5 months later, I ran 52 miles in one day. And maybe most importantly, the fact that I had been deeply depressed, that was gone, not in 2 months, but that morning. That morning, I realized if I start every day feeling this, at a level 10, then it's only a matter of time before I turn things around, and that's what happened. And then I started calling it my Miracle Morning, and eventually I shared it with a few people, and they got great results. And I had a light bulb moment one day that, I've got to share this with the world. And 4 years later, the book came out, and now it is what it is, kind of a movement, if you will.
It was a huge seller. It was very, very successful. I do want to ask you, is there something about the morning in particular, or couldn't we say that as long as you are properly setting the tone for your day, it doesn't matter if it starts at 5 a.m. or 10 a.m., could I still be a night owl and do this, or is there some mystique about the morning in particular that is essential to this whole program?
Great question. And people have asked me, the 6 practices that the Miracle Morning consists of, they're called the Life Savers. And Savers is an acronym. The word savers: silence, which is like meditation or prayer; affirmations; visualization; exercise; reading; and scribing. You can find some of the world's most successful individuals that will attribute their success to any one of those. And that's what made this so extraordinary, is I did all of them, right? So in terms of, people have asked me, couldn't I do the lifesavers in the afternoon or the evening? Absolutely. There's a whole chapter in the book called Customizing the Miracle Morning to Fit Your Lifestyle to Achieve Your Goals. So it's really, this is your miracle morning. It could be a miracle afternoon, miracle evening. But directly in relation to what you're asking me, there are profound benefits to doing it first thing when you wake up. And it doesn't mean waking up at 5 a.m. If somebody wakes up every day at 8, then now they're getting up at 7:30 or 7. It's about waking up just a little bit earlier than you normally would and dedicating time to your personal development so that you can become the person that you need to be to achieve levels of success you've never achieved before. And so there's a couple takes on this. One is Steve Pavlina, who used to write one of the most popular personal development blogs on the internet at stevepavlina.com. He wrote a great post called The Rudder of the Day. And he said, just like a ship has a rudder, and the direction the rudder is pointed steers the ship, it determines the direction that the ship goes, the morning is the rudder of the day. How you start your day determines the direction that your day goes, right? Just like a rudder, steers the ship. Eben Pagan, who, for those listening that don't know who Eben Pagan is, he does about $20 to $25 million a year as an entrepreneur, and he works from home. Very successful, very brilliant man. Well, Tony Robbins was interviewing Eben a few years ago. It was actually while I was writing the book, so this was very encouraging when I heard this interview. But at the end of the interview, Tony said, Eben, you've taught us so much, so many profound insights. If you could sum up everything you taught, what's the one thing that our listeners could do that would make the biggest impact in their business or in their life? If you could boil it down to one thing, what would it be? And without hesitation, Eben said, create a morning success ritual. He said, nothing else sets the context and your mindset for the rest of your day. So the point is, those practices that I just mentioned, you could do them at any time. But exercise is a great example. I still go to the gym in the evening with my wife, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to start first thing in the morning getting my heart rate up, getting blood and oxygen to my brain. The proven benefits of morning exercise, just because you go to the gym in the afternoon, you wouldn't want to wait. You wouldn't want to wait or miss out on the benefits in terms of your cognitive ability, your mental clarity, your emotional intelligence, and your energy level. That those are all benefited by doing morning exercise. So that's just one of the 6 practices, right? But that's the point, is doing it first thing in the morning. It sets the tone for the rest of the day. If you win the morning, you win the day, and you create an extraordinary life.
You can imagine, though, a workaholic like, your podcast host here, thinking to himself, well, if I have an extra hour in the day now, I'm waking up an extra hour early, I want to put that hour to use on something that will yield me immediate and tangible results in the form of something maybe more mundane than setting the tone for my day. How do I quiet that protesting voice in my head that says, well, maybe these routines will have some type of intangible result, but I could be writing 3 blog posts instead.
Yeah, great question. And I mean, I'm with you. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm addicted to, making forward progress in my life and my business. So I get it. Here's what I would share on that is I would do both. I wouldn't make it an either or. So for example, let's say you wake up an hour earlier, you do a 30-minute miracle morning, and you do 30 minutes working on a blog post. And I think that it's almost like you don't know what you're missing out on until you try it. When you go through the miracle morning, and I'm still blown away. I mean, you kind of mentioned in the beginning of the interview, that you, after seeing so many endorsements and testimonials and success stories from people, you finally were like, all right, I guess I got to have Hal on, or I got to consider it. I'm the same way. I'm blown away by how I had a woman a week or two ago send me a message saying that the miracle morning saved her marriage. I've had two people in the last few months tell me that they got off of their medication, one for depression, one for anxiety, within their first month of doing their Miracle Morning. Another gal, she lost 12 pounds her first month of doing her Miracle Morning. So the results are really profound. And once you start doing it and you follow it to a T, as you follow the lifesavers, then you really experience it and you go, wow, I don't want, how, like, it really becomes almost addicting where you go, I don't want to miss out on this. Because then there'll be days where you miss it and you feel like a sense of loss, like I lost out on so much value that I create when I do the Miracle Morning. But the other thing that I think what's more important or more effective for me to share with you, Tom, and for your listeners is it's a success story. Are you familiar with Pat Flynn?
Oh, sure. In fact, I think it was his blog post about the 5 books he read a second time during the year that I first found out about you.
I'm so grateful for Pat and posting that. So I want to share this, and Pat's not the only person, but he's a great example of this. Someone who is extraordinarily successful, and I can share, Pat earns 7 figures, right? This year he'll make over $1 million. And he is very family oriented. So he had me on his podcast and he started out very similar to you, saying, Hal, I'm not a morning person. My life is, it's amazing. I'm living my dreams. I'm spending time with my family. I don't set an alarm at all. I mean, Pat literally, like, his workday is he tries to not work at all while his family's awake. So his workday is often from 10 p.m., or at least it was, from 10 p.m. until 2 or 3 a.m. And then he wakes up when his kids come in and shake him and say, Daddy, wake up. That's his alarm clock. So he said, Hal, basically, he kind of challenged me, but he said, I'm open, but I don't, it's not broken. Why should I fix it? Why should I consider waking up early and doing this ritual? And so, to be honest with you, Tom, I was very, kind of intimidated, going, how am I going to convince Pat, who's living his dreams,
right,
plus he's totally in alignment with his family. Like, he's got the dream life. He spends all day with his wife and their 2 small children, and then he works a few hours a night, and he makes a crazy, a fantastic income. So by the end of the podcast, he said, Hal, I've never thought about the morning the way that I do now. And he said, I'm willing to read your book, and I will give this a try. I will give you my word, and I'll give my listeners my word that I'll try this for, I think he said a week or 30 days. I don't remember. But then, as you mentioned, I got a Google alert that there was a blog post from Pat Flynn about the books that changed his life this year. And the Miracle Morning was one of them. And then I started seeing Pat at 5 a.m., pictures of him on the treadmill at 5 a.m., # Miracle Morning.
That's great.
Yeah. And I actually interviewed him it was a couple days ago on my podcast. And we spent probably the first 5 minutes of him just praising, saying, Hal, your book completely changed my life. He said, my productivity, and here you go, Tom, my productivity has at least increased by 100%. He said, it's at least 2x since I started doing the Miracle Morning. I just go to bed a little bit earlier to wake up a little bit earlier, and my morning hours are transforming my life. So, and he's one of many people that are millionaires or CEOs or highly successful that they were already crushing it, and the Miracle Morning gave them, it took them to the next level in a way that they didn't even realize was available.
See, the trouble with me, I've always associated getting up early in the morning with old men. Like when I'm 85, I'll want to get up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning and go to bed at 9, but I can't bring myself to go to bed at 9. I feel like a loser. Like, how do I get over that hump?
Commit for 30 days and then reassess. And that's the thing is, if you read the reviews on Amazon or, any of these endorsements or success stories or Pat Flynn, etc., you end up getting just a realization that, there's enough potential value there for me to give 30 days of my life and try this out and really commit, make a public declaration, Facebook, or, if you have a coach or a mentor or accountability partner, something, so you commit for 30 days to do it at least, 5 or 6 days a week, if not every day, and then reassess. And worst case scenario, you go, you know what? Did it for 30 days, wasn't for me. Best case scenario, you're like Pat Flynn and you go, I just went from having the life of my dreams to having the life of my dreams, times 2. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, you're very good somehow, well, I guess maybe it's from being a success coach all these years, but you know marketing really well. You know exactly what to do, giving away free stuff and this and that. I want to give you a chance to tell people about the resources that they can get on your website. Of course, they should read The Miracle Morning. We'll link to that at tomwoods.com/384, which will be today's show notes page. But tell us about first of all, the name of your website and what people can find there.
Yeah, so I mean, I've got a handful of websites. I'll try to narrow it down to just a couple here. But yeah, if you want to buy the book, of course, Amazon.com is the best place to buy it. We just crossed our 700. We have 711 5-star reviews now. So I'm still in awe every day. I go on there and I'm like, oh my gosh, another new review. Although we did get a 1-star the other day, which those don't make me feel very good. But anyway, so Amazon's the best place to buy the book. Now, if anyone's listening and you're like, I'm not sure if I believe I don't buy into this yet. Go to miraclemorning.com, and that is miraclemorning.com is where you can get the first couple chapters of the book and the introduction for free. You'll also get a 17-minute video of me on stage giving a very shortened, to-the-point keynote in front of thousands of people on the Miracle Morning, and you'll get a 60-minute audio on the Miracle Morning. And the neat thing about the audio, by the way, it was recorded like maybe a month or two after I did my first Miracle Morning. So, in fact, I just thought of this the other day. I need to go back and listen to it because it was like when it was such a fresh thing for me, and I haven't heard it in years. So I need to, in fact, I'm going to make a note to do that. I want to go back and listen to it just to kind of get in my head of where, what was it like when I first started it? So you get all that for free at miraclemorning.com. And then if somebody wants to contact me, it's just my name, halelrod.com. But probably, I don't know if this is the most important of the resources I'll share, but I would invite everybody to join the Miracle Morning community on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and you search the Miracle Morning community, we're just over 13,000 people now from all around the world, and it has become the most engaged online community that I have ever seen. Tom, are you by chance, are you a member of the community yet?
I'm not, because I haven't yet committed to this. I'm on the board. I mean, basically, I'd have to do it over the summer because I'm too locked into my routine until the summer comes. But when the summer comes, I am open to it.
So here's what I would encourage you to do. Join the Facebook group now, and that will only enhance your conviction in doing this. It literally will blow your mind. The first post in there where I asked people to share their experience has 1,300 comments. And people say, this has changed their life in so many ways. And it's just neat. I'll see new people join and they'll post something like, hey, I'm new here and I'm struggling in this area. And I've seen people by the end of the day have 50, 60, 70 comments from our community, and they don't even know who the person is. They're just that's the type of culture that is present there. It's really supportive, really positive. It's a really neat community to plug into.
Well, I'll definitely check that out. Heaven knows I'm on Facebook enough, so I'll certainly remember to do it. We're going to make sure and put all these links, miraclemorning.com, halelrod.com, a link to the book, The Miracle Morning, on Amazon, as well as a link to your Facebook group and your Twitter over at tomwoods.com/384. So, Hal, best of luck with this. If you can persuade me, a hardened night owl, to try this, then you are one heck of a salesman, my friend. I appreciate your time today. And again, congratulations on your work and best of luck.
Thank you so much for having me on. And for everyone that listened, thanks so much for your time. I hope you got some value today. Take care.
All right, everybody. tomwoods.com/384 is the resource for you. I hope you're intrigued by this. Maybe it'll do you some good. It's worth checking out. Remember, if you enjoy the show, become part of the elite, become a supporting listener, get all kinds of goodies, not just transcripts and discounts, but you do get that, but all kinds of special stuff just for you guys. I've got all the stuff I've done for the Ron Paul Homeschool program up there. We've got lifetime Liberty Classroom memberships available, all kinds of stuff. I send you signed books. It's just, you're going to be overwhelmed by all the stuff you're getting. So check that out, please, at tomwoods.com. Wait, it's not tomwoods.com, sorry. Check that out at supportinglisteners.com. That's what you want to do. But for the show notes page, it's tomwoods.com/384. Tomorrow, I will be back in the office. I've been out of town for about a week and a half, so I've done all these episodes in advance for the past week and a half, but I'll be in the office doing some fresh ones starting tomorrow. Thanks for listening, everybody. See you tomorrow.
The Tom Woods Show.